Hey everyone, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. So I've just finished at a WoW press event and I've got some really damn exciting news for you. Both release date for Battle for Azeroth and information about what the pre-patch entails, plus the Collector's Edition. So yeah, buckle up, this is going to be a pretty damn good one. So, Battle for Azeroth will be releasing on the 14th of August 2018. That's a hell of a lot sooner than most of us thought, with September actually being the most common prediction. That's just over 4 months from now, which, yeah, really means it's time to get working on those 36 Mage Towers. What's interesting, though, is that we can now compare expansion lengths. So Warlords was 656 days, we now know the Legion will be 714 days long, with the main takeaway here for me being just how much more content Legion had in a similar amount of time. Does seem like the team being okay with allowing an expansion to live just a little bit longer with steady content has successfully moved us past the era of always rushing towards trying to do yearly expansions. Now, moving on to the alpha test, it's coming along pretty well with early versions of all systems bar Warfronts being implemented. The Warfronts are set to be tested in a matter of weeks. So that's what's up with Battle for Azeroth. Let's talk about the pre-patch though. As always, that's going to be coming out 4 to 5 weeks before the expansion's launch, which comes to being around the 10th of July, though of course that is completely just conjecture based on past releases. What you're probably more keen to know, though, is the actual content of the pre-patch. And while we don't know the specific details, we do know the broad strokes of what will happen. So there will be narrative content set in Darkshore. Some of this already has been data mined, and it pretty much covers the initial skirmishes between the Alliance and the Horde as Sylvanas pushes north into the Night Elf territory. So both sides get narrative content that's, their own take on what happens there, and when you're finished with that, there is going to be a bunch of world content that is repeatable in the Darkshore area. Now, you might be wondering how Teldrassil gets burned down. I don't actually know how, but I do know how you are going to find out. That's all going to be in a big in-game cinematic. And also, we currently don't know what will happen if you try to go to Teldrassil on a max level character or anything like that. And then after all this happens, the next part of the puzzle is the Battle for Lordaeron, which I believe is like the final stage of the pre-patch content, and the results of that are pretty much how we're getting all the characters to the point where we then get introduced to Zandalar and Teldrassil once the actual expansion releases. As always, the pre-patch brings class and systems changes, as well as preparing the game client for the expansion's launch. And another cool little tidbit is that Wowhead did just data mine 2 mounts, which seem to be to do with this event, but of course, that's all unconfirmed. And then finally, let's wrap it up with the physical collector's edition. So we saw a slide that was detailing its contents. Of note is a double-sided metal, I think what I can only describe as like a really large coin. So one side of that is Alliance, the other one's Horde. It seems pretty hefty, when Ian was, had one out. So there's that, and it's kind of nice to see a WoW Collector's Edition have a kind of trinket in it again. There's also 2 hardback novellas. These are going to be available elsewhere, I believe free online, but the hardback Collector's Edition thing, that's like an exclusive sort of collectible item thing. Then there's a digital soundtrack, which I suppose makes sense. CDs aren't really used anymore, though I guess there's a collectible aspect that's kind of lost. And the novellas, as it turns out, are taking the place of the art book, which in my view sucks. I like the art books a lot, and in our office they often serve as a handy reference for some of our game development work. But I mean, hey, I don't really know if the art books were widely liked, so I'd be interested to hear your take on that. But there you go, that is it for the major announcements. Overall, my views are, I'm pretty excited, as I think just about any time that you think there's going to be a content lull, so maybe we were predicting, say, late September, that's a month and a half. It's now going to be a month and a half earlier than what many people predicted, which in my view is pretty great. As a content creator, it means there'll be less of a sort of a boring period of the channel where there's not really much to cover, so that's pretty exciting. And it does mean that the pressure is on for the Battle for Azeroth Alpha. Now, we did hear a little bit more information where basically they have a beta-like quantity of players on the Alpha right now, and they've held off on calling it the beta a little bit longer than they normally do, with the thinking there being that right now you kind of just teleport the zones all willy-nilly and it's not a cohesive experience. So they're not calling it a beta because they want to manage people's expectations. So yeah, that's what's up with Battle for Azeroth. You're going to be able to play it on the 14th of August 2018. So I hope you're excited about that. Thank you very much for watching this video, and a massive thank you to everyone over on Patreon who's really helps to make this whole thing possible. And with all that said, I will see you next time.